So are you just sitting there, kind of like maybe on your back, maybe just kind of drifting, You're just laying on your back, you're kind of just chilled, you're letting life just go the way it goes, It's kind of relaxing in a way if you think about it. You're laid back, you see a bunch of other people laying back, so you think, oh, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just a pretty good life. I live a pretty good life. Everything's, pretty chilled, calm. Everything's nice. You're kind of on your back with everybody else, kind of in your own lazy river tubes, In front of you, there's a waterfall a little bit up the head where it's like, hey, it's pushing you guys, basically. So the waterfall, you're taking the waterfall's current, and you're just going down the stream. You know what I mean? You're going down the stream, living a pretty all right life. You're not really moving, but, you're having an all right life. You're just letting it go by. I want to talk about going with the flow of life. So a lot of the times, especially when we, in our younger days, I guess you could say, but even in our adult times, we want to just go with the flow. Do everything because everybody else is doing it. Seems no harm done. I mean, everybody else is doing it, so why can't I do it, It's not the best of ideas. When you go with the flow, typically you're moving backwards. A lot of the times, life has a certain source. There's a certain thing you can get out of life that you can't really get with going the flow. Doing what everyone else is doing just because, hey, it's the new hip thing. It's the thing that's going around. Hey, listen, there's a new thing coming out. We should all be curious and, explore this kind of thing, Get our eyes and our attention put into it and, just keep putting extra things into it. Oh, we think it's really cool, so everyone has to think it's really cool. Can I tell you, it's kind of a little odd, your predicament, and I'll explain what the other end of the side of the road, that river or that flow is a little bit later. But right now, I would like to say, you're in a middle zone. I'll tell you that. When you're like that, you're not really looking forward to anything. You don't have a dream you're pursuing. You're just kind of there, You feel like in a way that you just exist with no reason. Or maybe you feel like you exist for the reason to follow the flow. I mean, that's a possibility as well. We're going to talk about some things about going with the flow. Going with the flow is a little bit different. It's kind of like bandwagoning, like I mentioned in bandwagon, but going with the flow is actually a thing of like, you're doing it just because solely other people are doing it. Not because it's mainly popular, but it's because other people are doing it, which it can still play into popularity without a doubt. But mainly you're doing this because other people are doing it, and that's kind of understandable. We're human. There are different ways someone wants to go for the flow and have certain reasons. One big one, I think, is acceptance. We want to be accepted as one of everyone else. So we will act like everyone else, or we'll do things everyone else so we can feel that acceptance that, hey, I'm a part of this. I feel really cool about it, And, there's nothing wrong with wanting acceptance. I think everybody in life really wants acceptance at some point. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you go with the flow and try to find acceptance through that, usually that's not how it's cut out. You don't know where that flow is going to take you. You don't know where it's going to lead. A book I've been reading, actually, it's called Call to Greatness. And the first little chapter I read, it's like a small book. It's a 31-day devotional for fathers and sons kind of the deal. And so I read the first little book of it, which it was really cool. It was literally called Everyone's Doing It. And the title thing is Go Against the Flow. So a lot of the times in life, we have a flow that makes us real tempted to just keep following it. One thing I really liked in here, and I posted this on Twitter for some of you all saw it on Twitter. If you decide to just go with the flow, you'll end up where the flow goes, which is usually downhill, often leading to a big pile of sludge and a life of unhappiness. You'll end up doing what everyone else is doing. There's a big problem in doing that. One, you don't stand out. And it's okay, you don't have to, don't strive to stand out, but you don't stand out. You're not somebody who is like, hey, listen, I've got my own thoughts and opinions, Maybe you're changing your opinions because the people you're around. Maybe you're changing your thought process because the people you're around, you're scared they're going to, not accept you anymore as a person. They're going to ditch you in a couple of seconds if you, conform to their opinion. Or if you don't, then you're not a part of their group anymore, Don't always go with the flow. By the way, that quote was made by Sean Covey. I think that's his name. I'm not sure. Don't come after me. But it's such a cool book. And it's literally, these are a couple of pages. And they're just really cool couple of pages that help you talk about stuff. So, one thing I will say too is that, well, maybe some people think that, oh, it's okay if I'm not doing anything. Sometimes people have goals and dreams, but they think it's okay to just stop and think everything's going to be okay if they just stop for no reason. Can I tell you that even if you stop, you're still moving backward? Your goal is the waterfall in front of you, because there's a source of movement from that waterfall. That waterfall is pushing you somewhere else. You need to climb up this waterfall. You need to go towards the waterfall. Now, here's the thing too. Change is never easy, especially if you're in a bad habit of routining and stuff. As I mentioned in window, change is never easy. All right, especially those first few steps are always the hardest, for the most part, I'll say. When you're walking or when you're trying to fight against the flow, what happens is you have that current pushing you backward, basically, while you're trying to push forward. It's always harder to go against the flow, without a doubt. It's always harder, but it always leads to the better end results. And, things like acceptance. Maybe our family we've been born in, we just want to go with there so we can still have a house. We can still be okay with people. We can still not have a problem. Maybe you want to avoid conflict. There's a lot of stuff like that. And it's okay to avoid conflict, but at a certain cost. You're gonna experience some form of conflict when you're going against the flow. And that's why it's the best to go against the flow. The flow always leads it to unhappiness. Just like the quote said, a big pile of unhappiness and sludge is what's waiting when you go for the flow. When you go towards the flow that everyone else is going towards, they didn't tell you this, and neither did they themselves even know, but there's two waterfalls. There's one that's in front of you that you know is pushing you backward. Then there's the second one that leads to a bunch of rocks when you fall off of it. If you continually just do nothing with your life, do nothing, just expect everything to be done for yourself, you don't want to, go through a hard time, go fight for it, fight for what you want in your life, you're going to ultimately die. But not die within, physically. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, everyone dies eventually, I mean, die inside yourself. Then you're not really pursuing something. You're just kind of there, and then you feel like you amount to nothing. These are the feelings you're going to start feeling when you go further and further down that flow. That flow is not good for you. And there's always a chance to, move forward before you end up falling off that side of the waterfall. It's not noticeable, so people usually are falling asleep on their lazy river tubes by the time they hit that second waterfall. I like to think life as there's two waterfalls. One that goes up, one that goes down. We're in between. We are in that stream between the two waterfalls. One has the source, one has ultimate death, basically. And so you have to choose between one or the other. I've seen a lot of people have this mentality, and it's pretty cool. You can definitely tell if someone's fighting the flow or staying with the flow. People who go through hardships to accomplish a goal. People who go through hardships to keep going forward in life, to keep improving who they are. That is going against the flow. You sitting still, not doing anything, or doing what everyone else is doing, typically for the most part, you're heading towards that second waterfall in life. You have to be careful what you're doing and make sure you're not following other people. One quote I like in this section of the book is, "We live by a different standard. We must be willing to take the narrow road that leads to life without compromise." And so there's going to be things that try to fight you. That's just how it is. So maybe you've looked at yourself and said, you know what? I've done almost nothing with my life. I've done a lot of things that are just everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to do it. And I haven't really decided to move forward and be my own thing. It's good to be different and embrace your difference, because here's the thing, if you're like everyone else, you're just going to think like everyone else instead of thinking on your own, doing what you want to do with your life, following your heart and your dreams. You've got to do that. Here's the thing. Everybody has their own potential and their own kind of life, all right? Their own thing that they want to live. Not everyone's meant to be something that someone else is meant to be. Like we can say a streamer, we can say a technician, a construction worker, a tax form person. There's a lot of different things that you can be. And different people have different hearts that's set for that, You have to literally follow your heart. If you don't follow your heart, you're just ultimately not getting the most out of life. Believe it or not, even if you don't believe in Christianity or any other worldly being out there kind of the deal, or, any other kind of belief, I still think you should get the best out of life. The best out of life isn't just going with the flow. Because if you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're not getting the best out of life. The best out of life is somewhere where the waterfall comes from, that first one, because that's the source of it moving. And the best part about going against the flow is that other people who go against the flow, they will notice that. I've seen a lot of people myself, because I'm a person who loves to go against the flow. I don't like the way our society is, the way that our system is made, the way our media is. There's a lot of things I don't like about life. So I want to be that change to go against that flow of ordinary life that a lot of people go through now. And what's really cool about it is that when you do go against the flow, you'll see others that go against the flow as well. Those others will gladly help you for the most part. I would like to think that people who go against the flow, for the most part, would gladly help give a push to other people who are going against the flow as well. You'll find people like that. They're harder to find, don't get me wrong. You're more likely to find the people with the lazy river going down on their lazy tubes, not knowing what's going on. You're more than likely going to find those people. But the moment you step forward and walk forward and do more, you're going to have that current push you back. That's why it's good to have some friends who are also going against the flow. It helps push you forward. You cannot do anything sitting still doing nothing all day. Not only doing nothing all day, but doing what everyone else is doing the same thing. You can take inspiration from other people and do some things like that. But if you're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, you are probably not going to be in a good place. You're not going to live in that life of happiness, I think living in that life of happiness is, hey, you know what? Do you want to learn? Do you want to improve who you are? Do you want to keep walking against this waterfall? And I say you should keep walking against the waterfall, because here's the thing. The waterfall will always push you back, but there's a source up there on that waterfall that you got to swim upstream to. Swimming upstream is the harder part. Once you get to that waterfall, all right, then that's where the stuff kicks in even more. The life is like a current. That's like a waterfall. It will push you to your limits, all right? Especially when you keep walking forward. And again, if you think that just because you're not moving means that you sit in place, you don't. Because like a current, you're still getting pushed backwards even though you aren't moving. So if you say you're not moving, technically you are moving. If you're not doing anything to move forward, you're still moving backwards. I'm not sure who needs that, but you need to know, you need to get off that lazy tube. You need to stand up and start walking against that current. This current is a rough current, especially now. The more and more we go into life, the more and more we go later and later into life, the stronger this current gets, all right? It's good to walk against the current now before it gets way harder to walk against it. I'm just going to be real with you. There's a lot of things about life with it. And yes, there is the cheesy line. I'm not going to say it in literary, but everyone knows that your parents have probably told you, if your friends jump off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge yourself? See, it's the same equivalent as, well, if your friends are going down a wrong path, if they're just sitting on that lazy tube not knowing about the waterfall ahead of them, it's good to acknowledge them and be like, hey, yo, there's a waterfall ahead of you. You might want to get out of there. And if they don't listen, well, that's on them. Another thing I like in this book right here is really cool. It says, the cool thing is that being different can actually build your strength of character. Being different and choosing the higher road makes you stronger. Makes you stronger as a person, because here's the thing, makes you more resilient to that current push. You can walk forward. You need to push yourself forward. And other people can push you forward, but for the most part, you've got to push yourself forward. Or in a case, if you're a Christian, have God help you push you forward. But still, it's mainly you, not other people pushing you forward. Other people can definitely give you a push, don't get me wrong, but they're not the ones that are going to stay there for the rest of your life to push you. You have to move forward. There's a lot of the things where people put other people in place of them doing, in place of their strengths. That's not a good idea. Yes, you may be weak in something, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with being weak in something, but people can't always be there to push you forward. There are people who can give you that push, but you have to keep it in motion, because, listen, you have to have that strength on your own. Do not let other people be that strength that you don't have. All right, you have to find a strength that you need to go through and be stronger with that current, to go against that current. Now, I'm not saying you should always improve on your weakness. All right, weaknesses should be delegated. You know, like, hey, listen, if someone else can do something better than you can, then let them do it. But if you're willing to learn certain things, learn those certain things as well. There's nothing wrong with being weak in a certain aspect, but do not let other people replace the things that you lack inside of you. So if you don't love yourself, do not let other people be that replacement for you. All right? It's okay to love yourself. The way of life, I say, is this. You know, the way I deal with that is, I don't love myself as much as other people, but I love myself very little less than other people. So I still put other people in front of me, but I still take good care of myself. That is a good way of living, especially if you care about other people. It means that, one, you're not a bad person for the most part, as long as you're doing it for good reasons, and you're still keeping yourself in check. In this book here, it also says, are you going with the flow? This is where it says the take action section of it too, which I really enjoy that, because that's really cool, because I'm like, oh snap, you know, you have an action, you know, it's basically saying, hey, listen, this is what's good. Like, are you doing this in your life? First thing says, are you going with the flow or against the flow? In what ways does your life look like everyone else's? In what ways are different? So, a lot of the times I will say this, and I'll admit to myself, and hopefully you guys notice this yourselves as well. A lot of the times I'm very overthinky, and so what I'll do is I'll assume something in my mind, but it's not really true, but I'll keep doing that in my head. That's a flow thing. That's a thing where a lot of other people do that as well. Or maybe some people will post on Twitter when they're angry. I'll admit I've done that a couple times, so that's a thing I go against the flow, or that I'm going with the flow on, and I need to change how my life is. Another one too is why is it hard to swim upstream? What role does peer pressure play? And peer pressure is a big play in it, you know? Like, your friends are doing it, so why can't I do it, you know? And in the book, and I meant to mention this earlier, but here's a good time to mention it. It's okay to be the oddball out for sometimes. I'm the oddball out in a lot of people's friendships. I'm not gonna lie. All right, I'm a goofy man. I say random crud, and then not only that, like, I don't do the things other people do, whether it's drinking alcohol, drugs, weed, stuff, all that. I don't do any of that. I don't like that. I think it's a bad place to find your happiness. However, if you're doing stuff like that, I'm not gonna judge anybody for doing so, but I'm typically the oddball out due to these situations. It's okay to be the oddball out in these situations, you know? Like, a lot of the times going with the flow even could lead to a drug addiction, sex addiction, alcohol abuse. There's a lot of stuff like that, you know? Anger. A lot of things are bad when you go against the flow, or when you go with the flow. Don't always go against the flow. Oh, man. And another question is from here, which I would like to ask y'all, is what are some key areas you need to change direction and go against the flow? A lot of the times we all have different things that we need to go against the flow. One thing for the flow is me that I need to change. I need to work out more. I'm not gonna lie. I need to work out more. That is a thing that I made a goal for myself, and then I have not even done it. So that's the thing that we need to move forward in. You know, there's different things that you have to move forward into. Are you acting like the other people on the media, for example? Maybe you're a person on Twitter, sees and believes everything they see on Twitter. I'm not hating on you for it, but typically Twitter's not the best place to get your news and advice from. I will say that, like, there are some good things on there, but are you instantly jumping the gun? Are you taking the same flow of life where it's like, you know, shoot first, ask questions later? When someone says, hey, somebody's canceled, what are you gonna do? You're gonna believe them, or are you gonna sit there and wait for things to come out more so you can make your decision? That's what you probably need to do if you're especially someone who's more prone to anger or to jump at someone being canceled. You jump on the bandwagon of it. You jump on that flow. You let that flow happen. You're like everybody else. And I will tell you, it's always the hardest to be different in a world that really wants you to be it. It really wants you to be like the world. Don't be like the world. The world, like I mentioned in World last time, the world tells you all of these things, all of them. And it's like, this is good. This is good. It feels good. Do it right? And it sits there and smiles at you while it corrupts your heart and it pulls you down in a big bucket of sadness, a sludge of unhappiness. Don't listen to it. Go against the flow. The flow of life is literally what the world's trying to tell you for the most part. It's saying all these bad things are good and all these good things are bad. You know, a lot of the times you can see in life now, you know, the flow of life or just life in general. You see that a lot of good leadership stuff or good learning, inspirational stuff is just not there. You don't see it a whole lot. You see a lot of anger, a lot of upset stuff. People are getting bloodthirsty over politics. People are getting angry so much all these days. That's going with the flow. Don't go with the flow of life. Push that current back and keep moving forward. You need to keep doing that. That's the only way you're going to find true happiness. The happiness those people seek when they're on the lazy tubes and they're just floating down the river, that's not happiness. That's like temporary pleasure that's going to end in death inside yourself. And that's not a place you need to be. That's like someone out here needs to hear this, that you need to move forward. Get off of that lazy river, get off of that, you know, thing that you're going for and go walk up that stream. You need to walk towards that stream. It's going to be painful. Yes, I completely understand that. It's a painful thing. Understandable. And it's a scary thing to go against sometimes in life, but it's better to go against something that's going to keep pushing you back and pursuing a goal, your dream, your heart, something that's going to make you happy than to sit there doing nothing, doing what everyone else is doing because, well, it feels good to be accepted. Acceptance is understandable, but here's the thing, the wrong kind of acceptance is doing something because everybody else is doing it. That's the wrong kind of acceptance you're going to be looking for. And then the moment you get out and you start going against the flow, the people on the lazy river or the people on the tubes, they're going to be like, oh, this person isn't a part of us anymore. It'll show you too. Now, here's the thing too. Sometimes when you get off of the lazy tube and you start moving forward, you might inspire some other people to get off of there as well. So don't forget that too. Like legit, you may feel like you're alone in that fight, but here's the thing too. Your motion, your action to keep moving forward could inspire somebody else to keep moving forward as well against that flow of life. So don't think it's just you by yourself doing this. For the most part, you need to be your main motivator for the most part, all right? Unless you also put a lot of motivation on God as well, then that's perfectly fine as well. I'm a person that does a big bit of both, but God always comes first to me. But like, you never know if you're going to inspire somebody or if you're going to have somebody else be like, hey, you know, I want to help you I'll help push you against it sometimes, you know, I think it's a lot of the times in our life, I think it's a little bit less than half or a little bit half of what we do and how things get done or what other people do and help push you forward. Friends going against the flow is literally one of the best things you can have in your life, without a doubt. They will help you and they'll be with you through thick and thin. You know, they're the ones that are going to help you. So listen, that's why a lot of people say, hey, get friends that are winners. Get friends that are always doing more. Always get friends that are doing that, because guess what? Those are the best people to be around. They're the ones that are going to push you. They're the ones that are going to be like, hey, listen, you didn't do what you were doing right there. What you doing there, homie? What you doing? You're not doing what you're usually doing. Come on, get on moving. Push, push, push. You know, those are the friends you need in your life, especially if you're going against the flow. Don't make friends out. It's okay to be friendly with other people who are on tubes and stuff, you know. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to be friendly and be like, you know, hi, you know, be respectful and help some other people out. Sometimes people don't know they're on a lazy tube, by the way. let people know when they go by. You never know when people are going to be like, oh, snap, this person's right. There's so much more to life, guys, than just letting it flow. And that's the main reason. That's the main thing I want to tell you, is that there is so much more to life than just going with the flow. Go against it. Swim upstream. It's always going to be harder, but let me tell you something. It's always better to do so as well. You learn more in harder situations. You learn more when the world's telling you you're a freaking piece of cheese for not following the way we want to believe. Follow your heart. Complete the dreams you want to complete. The only way you're going to get that dream complete is if you go up that waterfall. If you get your dream too fast without any learning or without any character being built up, your dream is going to flop on you. That's the way I believe. So don't give up also when things just take a long time. Sometimes things take a while. Sometimes things take a while. Especially when you're fighting the current. You may be further back than you think you are. You may be further than you think you are. You never know. Go against the flow. I hope you all enjoyed that segment. That was a kind of a shorter segment than most. I'm going to be honest with you. I have 3 points on this, and then I just started talking out of my tongue. So I hope this helped anybody. Literally, I understand what it's like to sit there and not do a whole lot with my life. I completely get it, because I did that before when I was younger. And after I started pursuing things more in my life, I became happier. And that's what I want for y'all. Become happier. Do something better. Do something that's worthwhile in your life. Don't sit there and do nothing. Don't do what everyone else is doing. Be different and embrace it. Now, don't twist being different and embracing it. Like, if y'all are trying to do some crazy crud, y'all shouldn't be doing that. But it just really depends. It's very situational. But I believe that for the most part, go follow your heart. Truly, don't be scared because other people are going to be like, oh, they don't like my opinion. They're gonna leave me. They don't like the way I'm living. They're going to leave me. Acceptance is only good when it's built on the right kind of the way. Hi there, everybody. All right, so my announcements are more at the end of the video now. So I would like to say that I hope you enjoyed that beginning start of saying, hey, I'm just going to kick it off right into the segment at the beginning. I may try that a little bit. I don't know. It just depends. If y'all like the segment being at the beginning, just let me know, and I'll gladly try and get that done. But I hope you all enjoyed it. There's a lot of different things that I've got planned going on. So for the most part, I've got a new video graphic thing coming up that I think y'all have already seen. So I've added a new video graphic where it shows commands. So I'm really excited about that on my overlays for Twitch. And I've tried some YouTube shorts, and they've been doing pretty well. So hopefully I get some YouTube shorts fans up in here. And if y'all are, hey, welcome in. I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all are doing well. But basically, if y'all missed last WhizDum Wednesday, the recap of that was the world. And so we talked about the world, which was what I kind of mentioned inside this WhizDum Wednesday. And the world basically tells you a lot of things you want to hear, or just makes you feel like, hey, you got to do all these things the way we do it, or you're not allowed here, kind of the deal. So don't be afraid to be, in the world, but not of the world, But yeah, literally, that's the main thing I talked about, is like how the world really wants you to do different things than you really should. I highly encourage it. I've also there was a thing of Pastor Scott Worley who had a great audio segment on being a lion, and I loved that. There was such a good thing in there. So if y'all haven't seen The World, please go check World out. World's a really cool episode, especially towards the end. The end is The end's a big eye opener, I'll tell you that. It really touches your heart, you know what I mean? And I will say I'll be working on some more merch soon, so that's gonna be pretty cool. I'll have to figure out when I get that done, but I've been drawing some more and all that stuff. So I've been getting some gold stuff. And also, if any of y'all are interested in being on a church online team where we can help other people feel connected and, you know, make them feel more welcome to coming to church online, stuff like that, I would love to hear from you. Seriously, I'm doing that with my church at the moment, and it's kind of hard. I need 20 people, and it's just a one-man team at the moment. I've been doing a lot of online stuff just myself. So I would love to hear from y'all if y'all have any like AV, you know, experience or social media experience or connecting with other people. I want to keep the same environment that I keep within my channel, of where, you know, having that friendly environment brings people back. I want that for my church too. And so if any of y'all are interested in helping out with that, please let me know, and I'll gladly recommend y'all, or see if we can talk some stuff out about it. I think it'd be pretty cool. So anyway, I think that's all we're going to talk about for WhizDum Wednesday. I will apologize for not having a WhizDum Wednesday last week. Last week was a very busy week for me. I had went to a big leadership meeting, and a big leadership meeting, it was quite big. So I had a lot of stuff. My brain fried in it. I was like, I can't handle a double brain fry, because usually after doing a WhizDum Wednesday, my brain fries a little bit. And that's not a bad thing. It's just because my energy gets blown out after a while. So that's the main thing. But anyway, I've got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and I've also got TikTok. So if any of y'all would like to see some majestic videos on there, please go check those out. I recommend Instagram and TikTok. I'm a little goofy on both of those, but Twitter is also where I post some updates as well if you guys want some updates. I also have this on Spotify and SoundCloud. I'm not paying for the premium at the moment for SoundCloud, so Spotify and SoundCloud are still iffy, but there's still like probably 5 on each of them that you can go back and listen to if you're a fan of it. YouTube is where I post all of my WhizDum Wednesdays, so I hope that you check those out, because that would be really super cool if you could. I love WhizDum Wednesday, and there's a lot of them. I think there's over 30 WhizDum Wednesdays on YouTube, so if any of you all are interested, there's a playlist on there, and I could probably send a playlist in chat if you guys want as well. And there's also highlight videos on YouTube as well, so I kind of want to keep a fun environment while also keeping a serious environment at the same time. Also, Twitch is where I talk about WhizDum Wednesday, where I post, where I stream videos, stuff like that, and I talk to a lot of people. I love talking to people. Doesn't matter what day it is or not. I'll gladly share some things that help people grow in any way if I can, or just have a good conversation with people. And on WhizDum Wednesdays, we talk about it at the end of the chat sometimes, or we chat a couple times, just say, hey, did this help out? Did this help move forward? So I hope you all enjoyed that. And remember, literally, go against the flow of life. The flow of life is going to keep pushing you back. It's going to keep pushing you back until you don't know what the heck's going on anymore, and you're going to be upset. You're going to be sad. You're going to be unhappy. You're going to be stuck in an addiction, stuff like that. Move forward with improving who you are. Acceptance is a scary thing to get over, but listen, there's a true acceptance when you keep walking against that flow, with people who walk against the flow themselves, or even God, for example. If you're a person who just doesn't feel like anyone's going to believe in them, you know, God's a good way to go to. You know, it's changed my life constantly, all right? Not only have I went through the energy of improving myself, but me having someone I can rely on constantly, and having a good community around stuff, too, of people who go against the flow as well. It's a great thing. So I highly encourage y'all to go against the flow. Don't go with it. At the end of the flow, you don't want to see what happens out there, you know? Go against the flow. Go after your dream. Put a lot of work towards it. It'll pay off, and you'll love life doing it at the same time. Don't give up when it's hard. Until next WhizDum Wednesday, I'll see you. So have a good rest of the week. See ya.